Welcome everyone to this live stream. I guess we are live. So yeah, the modern web starting already with having 20 tabs open in Firefox, and the good old 45 watt, so Core i7 3000 whatever something Mac Mini already in hyperventilation mode, though we have 30 FPS. You see here all the amazing web core stuff. Web in 2019. So yeah, welcome to our every now and then IT news show here. And this week, because we were a little bit busy, quite some stuff accumulated, starting with I guess caused by a Windows update, I guess. So yeah, access error, query is corrupt. When attempting to update a query, get your query name. So the usual stuff of amazing Microsoft updates. Here's security update for Microsoft Office, apparently, according allegedly to this summary here, I guess. Is it introduced? Yeah, so the intro was, is so yeah, 2019, your Microsoft Office update results in your stuff not working. No surprise here, not the first time. A recurring theme here. It's hilarious, and yeah, security is hard, updates are hard, software is hard. In similar news, Google Chrome experiment crashes browser tabs. Also, yeah, speaking about tabs, right? And in similar update news, is in what looks to be a Chrome team biggest misstep. Companies report massive outages caused by unannounced Chrome experiment. Also, well, experiment is, well, as my understanding is, the headline is slightly off, I think. My understanding is this Google tested this in Chrome experiments and it worked for home users like you and me, but this only happens in corporate. So I think, as far as I remember, this was tested, but nobody in testing at home was using terminal server setups here. So what this caused here, widescreen of death, yeah, some amazing blitting, so graphic terminal server 2019, not much GPU graphic acceleration of any sort, and then yeah, amazing widescreen of death, so much too. You want to have this GPU accelerated, and then yeah, on your terminal servers you don't have much, well, except X windowing stuff, good old for Voodoo, rendition, Verity, Matrox. Deleted good old 2D acceleration code anyway, but this certainly is using fancy alpha blending. But yeah, this also is a result of not only monoculture of everyone using Google Chrome, and then if Google Chrome doesn't work, then your whole IT infrastructure doesn't work. And second of all, outsourcing testing to normal users. So not like doing quality testing, but just let's YOLO. Let's hope someone else is testing this at home. Well done. Good, amazing testing team. Also, yeah, recurring theme, Project Zero is busy with exploiting others, people's stuff, and they can't test their own Chrome. So according to hundreds, as there you see hundreds of reports, users said that Chrome tabs were going blank all of a sudden, and this issue was not a joke. In tight controlled enterprise environments, many employees didn't have the option to change browsers and were left unable to develop. Also, yeah, tightly controlled enterprise environment, and maybe Chrome auto updating itself, or but yeah, their organization, they had multiple large retail brands and had 1,000 call center agents and many IT people affected for 2 days. Yeah, IT in 2019, nobody can work for 2 days. Nothing to see. Just keep calm and carry on. Offshore bank targeted by Fishers confirms it was hacked. A criminal investigation is ongoing, says the Cayman National Bank from the Isle of Man. Said in a statement, so yeah, how safe is our security 2019? Certainly not even Cayman national banks. You would think some people take care of security there, but according to the motherboard report, that the hackers known as Fisher, so target a bank, stole money, documents, and offered other hackers $1,000 to carry out politically motivated hacks. Now the bank, now they targeted Cayman National Bank, is known, was amongst the number of banks targeted, and so on. Criminal investigation, of course, yeah, don't try this at home. and yeah, doing bank security also here with all the monolithic kernels, everyone running the same code. In similar news, AMD, for all the Intel, shout out here of Intel, Spectre meltdown, broken conditional jump instruction, all the other too many broken stuff at Intel. AMD is also somewhat slightly affected. This AMD SEV by obscurity, like as long as you don't probe with your logic analyzer and stuff like this, like years later, Spectre meltdown. And AMD is also a little bit target of similar attacks. So the ability to migrate virtual machines comes from one host to another, crucial feature. So somehow they managed to exploit this a little bit, like breaking this encrypted memory currently. So, but of course, as usual, this is proof of concept. If you can really steal there something in production, not sure. Of course, it's always a very tight environment. So the perform the migration, so this is migration details. So migration attack. Yeah, also, so this is apparently maybe only a migration. I've not yet studied this, but at least they say the valid check extracted from an arbitrary AMD EPIC CPU is sufficient to mount this attack. So mitigations allows to prevent the migration of virtual machines using this policy that is defined by the guest owner using the no-send bit in the guest policy. Guest owner can prevent any migration while this effectively prevents or corrects. This also prohibits migration in case of host failures. Yeah, anyway, so apparently either you can have security or migration, but yeah, not yet totally read the papers, but probably if you're interested, you probably want to read the papers like this. In similar news, one of the larger German, at least I think, electronic suppliers, so where we usually source, I don't know, here our good electronic stuff around the corner, massive data breach apparently here according to their self-publication, customer information, so some part of apparently millions or so, most likely ours also. Apparently no credit card information, and they closed the security thing. It was, I think, Elastic-Cloud. Do they not write this? Why do they not write this? I'm pretty sure. This is this stupid new click stuff of I'm pretty sure this was some Elasticsearch, although I don't. So do they write this here? No, they only write your security. Maybe Heiser has something. Maybe this. Yeah, here they write that some customer data, only 40 million. Yeah, so only 40 million, nothing much to see. And they write here Elasticsearch database could be accessed. So yeah, so much to how to configure your Elasticsearch. Microsoft recommends, yeah, this is a little bit funny. So this is a little bit, this was in the media a little bit, and it's a little bit misreported in that some media reported that Microsoft is discontinuing Windows Server 2008 and the only option is Azure-Cloud. So like Microsoft is forcing customers to Azure-Cloud, which my understanding is it's not like 100% correct. Of course, there is Windows Server 2016 or whatever. So some of this reporting a little bit off. I just a little bit awareness that like you have a nice server installation there, but now you need to move it to this product as a recurring theme of migration path with it, Microsoft and Windows and stuff. In similar news, we had Apple here recurrently shouted of all the stuff not going amazingly super well at Apple. And one thing is not only ourselves a little bit near with Apple's stuff here. Apparently some high profile VIP or so secret spiller out of his developer account, Jules Rambo or something. And so apparently he, So I actually never heard about them. I can't know everyone. Maybe he's big in the scene, maybe he's not, I don't know. But so this is only my summary of this news here with some grain of salt. If you have more information always, or if you are affected, leave in the comments below. So they write here, he leaked here like others. There's also this Smith, something, someone on Twitter who always is fetching out like grabbing and diffing strings and stuff, and often leaking stuff early on Twitter, probably similar to what they have done here. And yeah, so also here Golden Master with Starboard System Shell that runs stereo AR apps. And so I always wondered, so apparently he is now locked out of his developer account. They write here in their blog post detailing the problem, reveals that Apple locked him out in August. Also, yeah, single point of failure, right? You have this one like ourselves, we have our own, by the way, we have new challenges with the App Store, which Exact Scanner is already out, but we've tried to have our recompress was already sandboxed and OCRKit not, but we thought, okay, maybe we sandbox OCRKit. So we have actually new challenges. Maybe I make a dedicated video if you're interested. Not sure of the feeling, not the most people are interested about this not so amazing App Store details. But yeah, if you are relying on this single source as I said, I also said already, like the contracts on the App Store, you cannot like, there is each month or each quarter you need to agree to the latest terms of services, and even if you don't like the changes, you have no means of negotiating, either you have accepted or not. And yeah, if you lose your access, then you lose your access, right? And apparently he still works at some company, according to his blog post, which I scrolled over already. So he writes here, he contacted, then he's even a case number, which I'm not sure if I would publish that, but something everyone can call with a case number, so probably don't do that. He writes here, yeah, he's not writing mother, so, but I always wondered, so I usually have not like leaked details. I usually the few NDAs, I even have an NDA with Apple, which I did not really disclose previously. I only said previously I was at Apple, their meeting and stuff, showed you this amazing sticker. Not really, maybe I should read the fine print of the NDA when it expires, maybe it expired already. But so I usually also with as much as I don't like the App Store and Xcode stuff, I respect this terms of services, which yeah, I also only scroll over. I mean, who reads this 200 pages of legalized bullshit? But I'm pretty much aware that this is like you are using beta software, non-disclosure stuff, and so on. And I always wondered with those people on Twitter, like those famous people here, that they do not have more challenges with Apple due to that. So in some way, if they are like this other Smith, someone there, and constantly have leaked like NDA, like beta software stuff, they, in my opinion, should also not wonder too much that eventually Apple says after a year or 5 years, like enough is enough. But leave me in the comments what you think. One thing is, of course, I would, however, disagree. So with two heads on here, like one head like, yeah, as much I don't like NDAs and stuff, but if you already sign and download beta software, then you probably better respect the legalese. But with another head, I should say, it would be fair to cut them off of beta software if Apple doesn't want people to diff, like what I also mentioned here previously on this channel. Like I would probably maybe sometimes be tempted to diff always and see what API changes there are in the beta software, exactly for those reasons, and all the other breakage and changes. But I would agree that Apple, like if they are violating the terms of services and NDA for, well, actually theoretically Apple could even sue them, right, for damages of NDA stuff whatsoever. But one thing that Apple can certainly do, which they have this legally binding terms of services with them, one thing they should still have is give them access to the App Store, right? He writes that he sold some $10,000. I would, however, agree, tens of thousands of, yeah, he's been an Apple developer since 2008, publishing App Store since 2013. Apple has made tens of thousands of dollars, which is, by the way, less than we made. So with us, Apple certainly has even made, fun fact, hundreds of thousands of dollars, certainly as a small company as we are. But I would actually say, so maybe he cannot argue like Apple made 10 thousands of dollars with him when the damages might be hundreds thousands of dollars of damages of leaking NDA information. So that is a little bit of the double-edged sword what people more often forget these days and blindly share and post everything. However, I would agree Apple has all rights to cut access to beta program for not providing him the NDA, violating the NDA. I would, by the way, I'm not the greatest fan of lawsuits and stuff. If they are in violation, just don't supply new NDA stuff to them. Problem solved. That is certainly in the right of Apple to do. But I would agree that cutting this entirely of the App Store, as shitty as it is and total garbage that we recurrently shout out here, but there you see single point of failure, single point of distribution, one holder there protected by their sword and stuff, and yeah, that is the result, right? But yeah, if, again, summary, if this is a single point of distribution, they should not lock them out for this kind of stuff. If they have other legal matters or better programs, then stop this. But anyway, that is just the situation what we get in this monopolized environments of app stores and single point of control there. In similar, not as amazing news here, just a short reminder that other mainstream media, like this huge German publishing house, is also currently criticizing Apple for too many bugs. So that's not only us that is imagining and pulling out the bugs out of thin air, but also big mainstream media that they also write it a little bit with some funny tone of finally iPadOS 13.2.3, already all the minor version numbers, should finally solve most of the issues, or including multitasking and search, all the peak bugs here of hashtag peak bugs of all the background refresh currently, and also a little bit security we don't know because Apple didn't publish any CVE entries, so yeah, whatever. In similar, not the most amazing news, just a recurring reminder that not everything is totally well in Apple land. Reality distortion field. Even Time Machine and backing up in Catalina is apparently slightly broken. The format changed also. Yeah, Apple not only breaking our application with deprecated APIs and or just changing random stuff, but also backup doesn't even work. They changed the format here. Also a little bit strange is, so it's a new layout for the new read-only system and other APFS volumes there, and the first backup also the first backup then, due to the format change, also approaching the size of a full backup. Anyway, everything not so most amazing. Also, I think somewhere I read that the format is still HPFS. Not sure, but if this is also, it would be ridiculous if Mac OS is running APFS and the backup Time Machine backup is still using HPFS Plus or something. But yeah, so apparently the first backup can fail or fail easily, fails often, and format conversion also apparently you cannot mix it then, because Apple, it's like you have a backup but it's not forward or backward compatible because YOLO, whatever. And other Apple diehard fans already writing about this because stuff doesn't really quite work reliably anymore at Apple in 2019. Peak bugs. In similar news, I only not the greatest fan of, by the way, not a paid advertisement, totally not supporting of smoking and vaping and all kind of bullshit, totally. If you want to live some more years longer, healthy and stuff, then probably don't do this. Only wanted to include this here as an example that Apple can just remove everything, even if I agree that this stuff is not amazing. It just means if Apple doesn't like it, it goes out of the App Store, right? If it's a safety app for people in Hong Kong to get an understanding where they should avoid latest police fighting demonstration stuff to get safe home, which Apple then, previous IT news here, did not deem in accordance with the local law and so on. Then it's a safety app for boys and girls and stuff to avoid police fights, and then allegedly, apparently anyway. But even then, so if Apple doesn't like it with whatever, I would, by the way, agree if it's not allowed in California according to Californian law, can cause cancer and whatnot, then by all means don't offer it in California. But otherwise, it should be up to the vendor, and people should sue and work and whatnot with the vendor according to local law, but it should not be in Apple's central censorship to do this removing and whatnot, and like in our case. And by the way, probably make a dedicated video about this. In the meantime, I would say that like the issue that we have, for example, even if you say, because we cannot, previous video there somewhere, Apple is not approving our exact scan because of not sandbox, because good old fashioned app from back in the days, and our scanning creating 100 pages that we would, Apple asks us kindly to show a file save dialog for each file because they are sandboxing. Certainly not cool for 100 files a minute for fancy scanner, or even 100 pages an hour, 100 times yes, save please. Anyway, in my opinion, so not only can we not send updates for old users, like you purchased it 2 years ago, even if we wanted, like for Mojave, High Sierra, whatnot, El Capitan. So we can't even, this is hilarious, right? Apple is in the way and not allowing us to get updates, not only for Catalina, but all the previous operating system, oops, microphone cable, customers. So yeah, Apple is preventing updates, Apple is all causing a kind of also making apps worse, right? Our apps creating files without human interaction. And yeah, then anyway, sandboxing. So in my opinion, if the central point of failure should not be, because there should not be this monopoly on app distribution, and even if you argue that needs to be for whatsoever control freak reason for the security and the kids and children and whatnot, then at least have the vendor publish this, and then either I would actually go as far as how it was in the Google Play Store, like publish it and have the market self-control this. And you can still, if you find viruses or malware, still like disable it or something. But like being so in the way, like even in our case, for getting a professional application update to paid previous users is hilarious. And by the way, if you argue it's for the security, the fun fact is Apple by itself does not remove these apps from, like our app, it would still be on sale as not sandbox as it is. So for the security, it's a complete bullshit argument if it's still for sale and everyone can buy it. So what it is also hilarious, right? We wanted to fix a Catalina bug, and that would make this app work for users, and Apple says no, the update is not okay, but leaves the previous version, which is broken or not compatible and crashing with Catalina due to API changes and random other changes, like sending us null pointers of delegate notifications with null pointers, amazing stuff. So yeah, Apple rather leaves a broken app and even continues. Apple does nothing with existing apps, continues to sell a obviously incompatible version to customers who then often return it and are unhappy, and not allows us. The situation is hilarious, right? Just anyway, probably dedicated video. Why is this not found? Sorry, can't what you're looking for. Why is that? What? Almost made Chess Republic until I realized that they delete this article here, or what is that? Anyway, there was an article that Google almost made. Why is this deleted now? That is hilarious. Was there a couple of days. So apparently Google nearly, here is it, let's see if it's still, yet loads. Still, Google almost made 100,000 of chest x-rays public until it realized personal data could be exposed. So also, yeah, the care that Google is taking with your personal data, like even maybe publishing your x-ray records until last minute, also by sheer luck, right? So if they would not have some last minute something, of course they wanted to improve the user experience there as usual. 2 days before Google was set to publicly post more than 100,000 images of human chest x-rays, the tech giant got a call from the National Institute of Health. Also, yeah, according to this, Google didn't even, why is here Can we get rid of this Exxon advertisement here? It's hilarious. So yeah, apparently not even Google decided and found this themselves. They even had required external national institutes of health to find this, abruptly cancelled its project with NIH, according to emails reviewed by the Washington Post over the course of planning the X-ray project. Google's research didn't obtain any legal agreement covering the privacy of, yeah, it's Google privacy, the privacy, the foremost thing at Google. Also, yeah, disruptive stuff, right? Just do everything, no matter what it does with people's privacy and life and stuff. We take great care to protect patient data, ensure the personal information remains private and secure. Yeah, but nearly just published it anyway. It's hilarious. Anyway, as always, leave me in the comments below what you think about this data stuff and privacy and disruptive stuff of just doing whatever they want. Google search results have more human help than you think, report finds. Google sometimes hands-on under the hood, and investigators want to know more. And I always wondered this, so I always had the suspicion, we had this in previous news, that at Google, or even Apple, but definitely Google, some white-collar shop was doing even speech, voice recognition stuff, and even maybe this Google Duplex, did this even go and this like, hello Google Assistant, call me some restaurant stuff. Was this called Google Duplex? I wonder, Google Duplex. And AI system did this, can now book 11 hours tickets in UK and US. So yeah, I think it was even for this or something of that sort, that previously they were caught even by complaints that they paid those external shops. Also, yeah, the biggest companies, right? And they outsource the crap work of manually typing translation stuff to external shops. It's hilarious. But yeah, even in this, I always wondered the search results, how much Google is interfering there, but apparently has fingers in hundreds of different, untold millions of users, though to Google something has become the, shit shell or collection in general. Launch a joint antitrust probe into Google that investigates, led by Texas Tony, who said last month that the probe would first focus on the company's advertising business, which continues to dominate the online search. Something, however, willing to investigate something hands-on approach search results, which has taken a sharp upturn since 2016, marks a shift from its founding philosophy of organizing the world's information. Something, whatever, anyway. Algorithm governs Google autocomplete suggestion, heavily subject to review. Apparently here, according to this, the source said, Google says publicly it doesn't allow for something and so on, but didn't want to. And anyway, we will see, we keep an eye on what develops of this story. Certainly interesting to see. In other news, the organization that duels out.org websites just sold itself to a for-profit company, so yeah, what possibly could go wrong. That seems odd that what .org represents. And the Public Interest Registry, PIR, which maintains the .org top-level domain, announced that it will be acquired by Ethos Capital, private equity firm. And let's sell all our data, make money out of everything. But I personally also there on previous, which probably I should double check which corner it is. I made a previous video on, let me think, right side probably should be there. Previous videos that I called out all this top level domain stuff. Bullshit there. I cancelled a couple of hours like .biz, .info and stuff. It's hilarious. All this top level domain nonsense, especially the new ones like Aero, and as I said on those previous videos, you need to have .com anyway, and all the other stuff. Then it's hilarious. If you are like Apple or Exacode, you need to have then .com, info, biz, EU, DE, name, and so on. it's maybe even org and whatnot. It's hilarious. It's in the meantime, it makes no sense. Either you will be found with Google. Also, maybe instead of, but there you see it's all for the money, right? They just commercialize all the top level domain stuff and edit their Amazon and whatnot that they are fighting for, and maybe and XXX and whatnot and whatever the other phone and local and Berlin and whatnot. But at the end of the day, either you are found and linked and referenced or not. And all these new domains, in my opinion, should not have happened. We should have, instead of more, we should have scaled down, keep it stupid simple, because honestly, leave in the comments about using, but mostly it's a piece of unnecessary money spending waste. And at the end of the day, you need .com anyway. If you make anything serious, all the aero, travel, whatnot helps you nothing if you don't have .com. And for that part, don't do this, don't support this. It's waste of time and money. And in my opinion, it mostly boils down to either you have .com or you can forget the domain anyway, unless you are maybe some org. But even then, if you are some organization, you most likely want to secure .com anyway, because you don't certainly want like World Health Organization or all the other Red Cross.org or whatnot. You certainly don't want some company to accidentally domain grab your .com anyway. So yeah, YOLO, whatever. So previous video recommendation, don't buy into this expensive, fancy, new, hipster, top-level domain business, and .org went now commercial anyway. In similar news, Hypernet Labs raises 1 million to democratize data science. Yeah, so they raise money. No shit. They raise money to democratize data science. Ambitious mission just went, and yeah, I wonder, it's a little bit, yeah, 2019 startups. I wonder a little bit. Works atop of existing file systems and can automatically allocate resources, languages including Python, C++, and R, afford to admins control over which users can run jobs and decrease. And anyway, bespoke API, Hypernet API, Hypernet, right? And protocol Hypernet protocol like Hypercard, right? But whatever. Will allow customers to buy and sell compute time in a decentralized and peer-to-peer fashion on a blockchain-based sharing economy model, like all buzzwords united. We will keep an eye on this if they survive a year or two. But anyway, if for one thing, if you want to give users control over their stuff, then certainly probably not by another startup. But anyway, time will show, and leave me in the comments below what you think. In similar news, Russia report, here's a Times report. Russia interference, also here, security and voting and electric voting and stuff. This is why this is here news in the Brexit referendum. So apparently to this report, this interference had an impact on Brexit referendum, but the effect was unquantifiable. Does it like, yeah, it has some user data has leaked, like only 14 million records, like unquantifiable, like only 14 million records. According to the Parliament report, suppressed by number 10, the report has cross-party intelligence and security commissions into Russian activities in Britain, also, yeah, Russian activities in the US, UK, France, Germany, Europe, Ukraine, you name it. Fun times to be alive, the James Bond movie we live in. Also, they want to subscribe. So yeah, maybe you want to read more details or not. If you have any also, yeah, why do I bring this here? Stuff needs to be secure, right? And it's the usual recurring theme of government mandated backdoors and encryption, key, escrow, whatever bullshit of, yeah, if you have some backdoors and people will use it. And even if you don't have a backdoor, then stuff is usually insecure. This is why we have here this recurring theme of all things insecure this week and why stuff needs to be more secure, because otherwise foreign interference and your local gangs and hackers, crackers. Anyway, in similar more amazing news, Taiwan stopped selling Huawei Huawei phones that identify it as part of China. Also, yeah, it's hilarious, right? I mean, first of all, multiple news here. So, first of all, I totally don't support this. China needs to control of everything. Let's just let those people in peace in Taiwan and Hong Kong and let them thrive. And of course, the thing is, if Hong Kong and Taiwan thrive and people in China see how much better it is there, then yeah, maybe they want more freedom too. But on the other side, also forcing, also China, I think we had this in previous news here, which is probably why you want to share, like, and subscribe here for this news. China enforcing the rest of the world, maybe even Western companies, if they want to have business in China, like the German Lufthansa, but not a paid advertisement as usual here. I remember from this, for example, they forced airlines like Lufthansa, Air France, Delta, and all this fun stuff to not list Taiwan, right? So, or like Taipei, something of China, something. It's hilarious. And yeah, I mean, there you see, we should, in my opinion, it's I totally support Taiwan here. I would also, if I would be the president of Taiwan, I would do the same. If people can't even list my country, then yeah, just don't sell the phones. Of course, Taiwan not the greatest, largest market, but anyway, why not? Especially when Huawei is already struggling to sell their phones without Google stuff due to also not amazing sanctions. But yeah, there you have it. Also, yeah, no surprise, right? You don't list the company, can't even sell it there, then, right? I would be, yeah, again, if I would be in Taiwan, I also would not want to have a phone that lists my country as China. It's hilarious. But yeah, I would say more of this if companies and states behave like this and just like, yeah, get your food out of here, because also, yeah, like Apple not nearly paying no taxes in the EU. In my opinion, if you don't want to pay taxes here, then stop selling your phones here. But it's probably something for another IT news or discussion. Or also leave me in the comments below if you want to hear more of these political discussions or not. Usually it triggers people, which triggering sometimes is good, sometimes not. But in my opinion, some stuff should also be said. And Apple can't expect like taking 30% from developers, not paying taxes here. So we should give Apple 30%, we developers, buy expensive Macs and pay taxes here. And yeah, it's a total imbalance of, yeah, so the richest get richer and nothing left for schools and streets and water pipes and electricity and all the other infrastructure and police, emergency transports, firefighters and stuff. In similar amazing news here to close this session today, it apparently here on some random news site, scrolled by somewhere, some people apparently at college students ditched their phones for a week or something, and they say it's changed their life. So a little bit outlook of usually global warming, not amazing, Friday for Future. Fun fact, we also recycle now, even more, I always recycled a lot now. We even collect bio waste stuff for like coffee bean stuff. So yeah, do everything you can, including collecting your bio stuff in the office separately, because why not? And also maybe in similar news, ditch your smartphone stuff. Maybe it makes you totally more happy. Find time for amazing open source work to, or not open source work, to advance yourself more with not playing with your phone and stuff. Myself trying to do the same, also still using totally old iPhone because don't need it much and certainly not getting something without a headphone jack. So yeah, maybe stop playing with iPhone, with a smartphone the whole day. Focus on life, on getting real stuff done, not only liking other people's photo. Just my tip to conclude this IT news, also what garbage news is running here, except with, yeah, also Fen, only here live on this channel, Fen going into which, by the way, let's run this again just for the test of CPU load. Also here, recurring theme, not cool that neither Firefox nor Chrome have VA API hardware acceleration, causing stupid advertising windows. Why is battery life on Linux not amazing? Because thanks Firefox, thank you Mozilla, thank you Google, to Firefox and Chrome for still not having hardware accelerated video encode in 2019. Really not cool. Also something, certainly I have the feeling that even maybe at Mozilla it might not be too easy to get this into the hardware rendering pipeline of off-screen transparency canvas kind of frame buffer object stuff. So, but it should not be impossible. And I wonder if all this stuff like, do we small people really have to code VA API support just because nobody at Mozilla gets their act together? They ask us for their money and donations all over the place, but can't even. So one thing every Linux user, every desktop Linux user in 2019 is begging browser vendors for a year, not 144% CPU load. Thank you very much for that. Can't make this up. Anyway, I hope you learned something. And as usual, leave in the comments below what you want to see more or less, more IT security, insecurity, or stuff that triggers you or not. Hope you learned something and hope to see you soon for all the next IT news, security related stuff, broken stuff, bugs and features. And yeah, until then, maybe try to ditch your smartphone for more change, more positive change in your life.